You know, watching real estate agents and the new agents that come into this industry, they start their career because they think their friends and family, their neighbors are going to use them automatically because they're an agent. There is a reason why there's 140,000 real estate agents in Canada, but there's also a reason why only 1% make any money, because they've earned the right to work with those people, and they've earned the right to work with them again and again and again. There's an arrogance to people thinking your friends and family are going to use you. You need to earn that right. I think the top 1% of agents in Canada and what makes them successful is they're selling on value. They have the experience. They've sold hundreds of homes over their career. Where you've got somebody new to the industry that, may have been good at selling data, they may have been good at doing something else, but now you're talking about working directly with somebody about selling their retirement home, about, now you're talking to somebody about selling their biggest asset. Are you going to put the trust into somebody who's new in the career, or are you going to look to somebody who's been around, who's got the billboards, who's got the experience, who's part of referral networks? One of the things that really frustrates me about new brokers and a lot of the brokerages that are opening up, it's this whole concept of the 1% commission. So you've got a real estate agent that comes and approaches you and says, I'll sell your house. And by the way, I know everybody else is charging 2.5% to sell. I'll do it for 1%. What kind of a negotiator are you proving to be if you're willing to drop how you make money on the spot for the homeowner, whether they ask you or not? There's a trust piece to that. You're positioning yourself as somebody who negotiates for a living. This is their biggest asset. You just dropped 1.5% in your own pockets. What are you going to do with their asset? In the real estate industry, one of the dated things that I think used to work probably doesn't work anymore: open houses. Open houses bring people in that are interested in maybe buying the house. They walk by, they see the sign. But it used to be that was the only way they could do it. There wasn't an online channel. You didn't have realtor.ca and you could see pictures. You'd be watching it on a TV program or in the paper. You have to remember, homeowners, home buyers have access to more information than they ever have before. So if you're a real estate agent and you think that you are going to sell a house based on the open house, I think you're missing the mark. That is an opportunity for you to gather leads for people that you know are shopping, and maybe they need to work with somebody like you. But it's frustrating to me to see the old way of how things used to work and people putting so much emphasis on the 2 to 3 hours Saturday and Sunday where they can have people come in the home. That's something that really, really frustrates me. And while we're on the topic of frustration, why the hell does it take 3 months to close on a mortgage? I can go online and get an insurance policy in 3 minutes, but I have to talk to a mortgage broker. They have to deal with the lender and the underwriter. Then legal has to get involved, and maybe there's an appraisal. The appraisal takes 2 hours to somebody to come through my house, by the way. That might take a few months. There's all these factors. There is way more risk in an insurance policy. They're on the hook for way more than the money that a bank is lending on the home value of a property. That really irks me. There is so much opportunity to grow, but it seems to be an industry that doesn't want to grow and is stuck in the way we did things 20 years ago. Something that really frustrates me about brokers, thinking mostly about mortgage brokers in this case. When you have a customer, they're in your CRM, they're in your list. You've earned the right to work with them in the past. But here's a question. How many other CRMs do you think that same homeowner is in? They're your customer, but they're someone else's lead. And you better believe they're working harder to earn the right to work with your customer than what you're doing today. They might be your customer, but they're somebody else's lead. They may be 3 other people's lead. They may be a lead from one of the banks. What are you doing to continue earning the right to work with that customer that is differentiating yourself from the bigger effort that they are using to convert your customer to work with them versus continuing to work with you? Don't tell me you're sending a happy birthday message. That really doesn't work. I talked to a broker the other day who has around 800 clients. And I asked, what is a core value that you really focus on and what differentiates yourself from the next broker? He says, I am excellent at keeping in touch with my customers. And I said, oh, you told me earlier you have 800 customers. How do you do that? Oh, well, I can't call everybody. I have to send emails. I have to send content that way. And I'm like, but you just told me your number one goal, your number one core value was you keep in touch with your customer. How do you do that in a vanilla way that you're doing today? And he was baffled. He couldn't figure out why sending happy birthday messages and sending market updates didn't constitute him keeping in touch with his clients. You're just doing what everybody else is doing, and the banks are going to win because they're offering cheaper rates for the same service that you're providing. They don't need to offer more value because you're not offering any value. One of the big frustrations that I see is most brokers are treating their entire book as one listener. The content that goes out is the same across everybody. Now, think about your different clients. You've got Brad in Ottawa who's got a basement apartment. He's looking to rent it out. He's trying to figure out, how do I draw equity? How do I fix up my basement? You've got Tracy that's in Aurora who's got a renewal coming up in the next 6 months, and she's trying to figure out what she should be doing. Is there a different lender I should be looking at? Is there other products that she should be looking at? You can personalize your message by making sure the homeowner sees it, because you're putting the value of their property front and center, the value of their biggest asset, something that they calculate their net worth based on. It's how they're planning their retirement. Sending a happy birthday message doesn't do that. Sending them the value of their updated property and how they're going to use that to retire later on in life, you can take that hook and add any content that you think is relevant underneath that. Whether it's getting a home equity line of credit to fix up your basement, or things about other products that they should be using coming up on the renewal. You're getting their attention. So some stats that I like to think about in this industry. Number one, there was a recent survey done that said 82% of homeowners would work with the same broker again. Only 20% in fact do work with that same broker. Another stat I like to think about. There's over 140,000 real estate agents in Canada, but only 1% make a living wage. There's a reason for that. 65% of all real estate and real estate deals come from referrals and repeat business. Are you focused on those areas, or are you constantly chasing new leads? So I pulled some stats on this topic. I think stats always backs up really what we're talking about today. Did you know that mortgage lenders on average in Canada only retain 20% of their business? 20% of their business. How do you build an organic business when you're only retaining 20%? Another stat right on the back of that, acquiring a new customer as a mortgage broker costs you 5 to 25 times more than retaining an existing one. Interesting. Increasing retention rates by 5%, just from 20% to 25%. Did you know that that can increase your revenue by 25 to 95%? And these are people you've worked with in the past, and these are people that already trust you. Why go out and spend 5 to 25 times more when you've already got gold in your list, in your book of business? More stats. Selling to an existing customer has at least a 40% higher likelihood than selling to a new prospect. Again, you've already got their trust. Why not flex that a little bit? Strong retention and engagement can increase referral traffic by 35%, as 77% of customers are more loyal to companies that provide an easy referral service. You're trying to get into the friends and family outside of your customers. This is suggesting engagement increases that by 35%, something you should probably focus on. And another stat, roughly 2/3 of all outstanding mortgages in this country of Canada are coming up for renewal in the next 2 years. So that's 2/3 of your book that you should be focusing on. And think of the amount of revenue that you can save just applying a little bit more engagement to your current book. The stats earlier said you're going to increase your referrals, you're going to increase your retention, all because of engagement. More stats. 33% of consumers said they don't even think about their mortgage professional until their renewal comes up. 33% of people aren't even thinking about you because you're not giving them a reason to do so. Now let's do some stats for you real estate agents out there. All right, flipping the page. 67% of all real estate deals in Canada are done through referrals, friends, family, and neighbors. Really interesting. Another one, 82% of sellers only contact one agent, the bigger one. 70% of sellers forget their agent's name within 1 year of the transaction. Baffling stats to me that tells me there's awesome opportunity for improvement based on these stats.